Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for the fiery costume segment. Are you ready? You must know that all the costumes were judged backstage prior to the stage event, where all the judges had a chance to look at their originality and creativity, balance, color scheme, craftsmanship, clarity of concept, and impact. As the delegates get ready to demonstrate the true spirit of Carnival, the judges will be looking for presentation, stage personality, and impact.
The judges for this category are as follows: Mr. Ricardo Keynes Douglas, Miss Aria Redhead, Christian Chow Chong, Mr. Ronald Roque, and Miss Irina Koska.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the parish of St. Andrew, we welcome Princess Felix, Miss Court's Unicorma Grenada in her costume, conceptualized and made by Neil Young.
It's the scary hours when you're looking spooky chance on the place. We get it agitated. They want a crazy power, so can I will surely come and set the pace. Who's someone lit? Look me down. Who come in? Watch the crowd. So catch us up. Soon me down. But you must have done something. I have a question to ask. Who mother? Tell me who mother. I don't come to play up in this place. It's no stay Canada. Bless done, bless done, bless done. Everything's made in the air like a ransom. Head hot up, you know, match up, you know, come down. Man, a real bad job, never bad. Everything up over your head now, over your head now, over your head now, cover your head. See them up over your head now, over your head now, over your head now, cover your head. When stars align, greatness outshines all the way in space and time. So still we rise. And with faith in the morning, with chains and all. I am a backpack and I'm ready. Rubbing me backpack and I'm ready. Promoter done laughing already with a backpack and the heavy owner. They go out to the job and a payroll. Oil fresh like you payroll. Goody job and a payroll. Oil fresh like you payroll. Put some respect on me name. So happy to see me never. Me never happy to see me. Nobody here is strangers. One big family, we serving one creator.
Carnival spirit is alive with Miss Princess Felix, Miss Court's Unicorma Grenada, in a spectacular design by Mr. Neil Young.
Tell me, where don't keep it? Right here, where don't keep it? Right here, where don't keep it? Right here, don't keep it. Right here, where don't keep it? Right here, where don't keep it? Right here, where don't keep it? Right here, don't keep it. Donkey able, breakfast on this table, feeling comfortable, climb up on a table. Donkey don't disable, donkey must in cable. Donkey have all kind of things, but donkey don't have no neighbor. Donkey have believe.
Let's hear it one more time for contestant number 1 in her costume, Princess Felix.
Oh, when you give me a wrist. Oh, wrist it down. I feel like a Kalalu live in the rain. I feel like a Dashi live in the rain. I feel like a Kalalu live in the rain. I feel like a Dashi live in the rain. Oh,
Let's show some love, St. Andrew. And that's a little taste for the Soca Monarch tomorrow. Miss St. Andrew. I can tell that you certainly enjoy this performance. And now we get set for delegate number 2. Neela, let's see if our audience is paying attention. Who is delegate number 2, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, the town of, what's the town up in St. Patrick? Shantimel. Who else? Where else? Crown City. How do they call themselves? Crown City is in the building.
We can tell you're out here to support Jermaine Laborde.
A reminder of the category, the criteria for this category. The judges are looking for presentation, stage personality, and impact. And of course, our judges are ready to go. And a reminder of our judges for this category: Mr. Ricardo Keynes Douglas, Miss Aria Redhead, Christian Chow Chung, Ronald Roque, and Irina Koska.
Once again, we must show our appreciation to all of our sponsors for this evening's competition. Thank you very much, sponsors.
This year's National Carnival Queen Pageant was made possible through the kind contributions of our title sponsors: Quartz Unikarma Grenada Limited, Glenelg Spring Water, KJ Enterprise, KFC, Tropical Catering, Breakfast Bites, De La Grenada Industries. Our premium sponsors included Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, Blue Bubbles, Dermamed, George F. Huggins, Dana's Restaurant, Merveille, The Computer Store, Chateau de la Motte, La Luna, and Prickly Bay Marina. Worthy of mention are those who contributed along the journey: the Olympic House, Creative Chef, Bahama Mama, Hot Chocolate Boutique, Norm's Boutique, Firmline, Cash Boutique, Ethnic Styles by Tonya Britton, Tambron by Tamara, Sabrina's Crochet, Luscious Couture, and Jose's Tire Sales and Services Limited. Those contributing above and beyond: M&D Catering, Sandcover, the Grenada Trade Center, Bryden and Miners, Sweet Traditions, Andal and Associates, Elevate, and Picopat.
All right, we are ready for delegate number 2. Let's welcome to the stage Miss St. Patrick, Jermaine Laborde.
Jermaine Laborde is proudly sponsored by Glenelg Spring Water.
This evening, Jermaine's costume is entitled La Femme Volcani. La Femme Volcani. She who shakes the sea. Mystery unfolds here. Let's see what La Femme Volcani brings. Once again, let's welcome Miss St. Patrick, Jermaine Laborde. La Femme Volcani.
No one in, we no business, no need to
And a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that the judges had the opportunity to scrutinize the costumes backstage.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Sister Isles of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, help me welcome to the stage Khadijah Bristol, sponsored by KJ Solutions, in her costume entitled The Land of Reefs, a costume conceptualized and made by Patterson Nelson of Pico Pat.
Why you know about the Java Island? Is 100 million Liban. They say we don't have no limit. Any faith we just cross it. They can't understand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the name speaks for itself. Land of Reefs.
Is 100 million Liban. They say we don't have no limit. Any faith we just cross it. They can't understand it. Why? They can't play our lamas and we Greens people we bad. Nobody else blacker than we when we play each other. Greens people, yeah, we bad like that. I tell you, I whoever they go tell you that. Don't in Greens, we don't joke around with each other. Don't in Greens, every faith you know we must show bad. Don't in Greens, fix up a better island and we good. Don't in Greens, everything is a whole mood. The life so different down here. Everything in the atmosphere. When we touch a feto, we just turn it up to a different level. Yeah, yeah, we ting up there. I say yeah, yeah, we ting up. When it comes to feto style, we know it. Them can play our lamas and we Greens people, we bad. Nobody else blacker than we when we play each other. Greens people, yeah, we bad like that. I tell you, I whoever they go tell you that. Don't in Greens, we don't joke around with each other. Don't in Greens, every faith you know we must show that. Don't in Greens, fix up our better island and we good. Don't in Greens, everything is a whole mood. Don't come in each other if you don't black. It too clean mood with that. That can play without the whole I know. Journey to drag and closer to dagger. Jug, jug, hula, hula. Greens people, mother, oh. They can't play our lamas and we Greens people, we bad. Nobody else blacker than we when we play each other. Greens people, yeah, we bad like that. I tell you, I whoever they go tell you that. Don't in Greens, we don't joke around with each other. Don't in Greens, every faith you know we must show that. Don't in Greens,
Let's show some love for Miss Carriacou and P.T. Martinique, Khadijah Bristol.
And as she leaves the stage, we recognize GNN Minimart and Nelson Ross for the financial contributions given to assist with the completion and creation of her costume. Make some noise, Miss Carriacou and Petite Martinique. What a lovely display of the reefs.
It is now time to welcome delegate number 4, Miss KFC St. George, in her splendid display of her costume. Ladies and gentlemen, Madame Marise, the Spice Market Woman.
Why you know about the Java Island? Is 100 million Liban. They say we don't have no limit. Any faith we just cross
The
it.
Spice Market Woman,
Why?
a creation by Ian Smith.
Greens people we bad. Nobody else blacker than we when we play each other. Greens people, yeah, we bad like that. I tell you.
Draped in Grenada's national colors, Katie and Thomas portrays the iconic spice vendor, a symbol of strength and pride. Her swirling skirt and basket basket of nutmeg, cinnamon, and bay leaf capture the vibrancy of our markets. Flowing spice trees honor the land of Grenada's rich spice legacy. She pays homage to beloved vendors Betsy, Miss Gloria, Miss Sabira, Bobby Gobbett, and Dennis Noel. Designed by Ian Smith of Trinidad and Tobago, behold, Madame Marise, the Spice Market Woman.
Everything's made in the air like a ransom. Head hot up, we don't match up, we don't come no. Man, a real bad job, never bad. Everything up over your head now, over your head now, over your head now, cover your head, over your head now, over your head now, over your head now, cover your head. We just mash it up till it's over, till it's over, till it's over. Hopeless till it's over, turn it over, turn it over. Mash it up till it's over, till it's over, till it's over. Hopeless turn it over, feel my cup run it over. So grimy, I'm so grimy, I'm so grimy. Got my mask on me, got the job on me. And anytime that I give the best of me. And when I'm done with the believers, go co-sign me. Grenada, I pull up in and drop the bomb and I gone. Grenada, if it's drop them one, then give them job in the front. Grenada, if it's more.
As she leaves the stage, we recognize Colombian Emeralds and South St. George Parliamentary Office for additional sponsorship towards the costume.
That was Katie and Thomas, Miss St. George, portraying the Spice Market Woman.
Ladies and gentlemen, in her costume, we welcome delegate number 5, Miss Tropical Catering St. David, Jelena Mark, in a costume entitled The Spice on Fire.
I say load me up with the oil. Everything had to spoil from grandma good to child. They've been wanting this for a while. Deal with them in a style. When stars align.
The Spice on Fire, ladies and gentlemen. The Rebirth, conceptualized and made by Baba Godfrey Luke. Miss St. David, Jelena Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight Jelena Mark, proudly representing Tropical Catering and the proud Virgin Parish of St. David, takes the stage as the living phoenix of the Spice Isle. The parish itself transformed by fire, renewed by faith, and crowned in glory. Her costume burns with fiery flames of trials and disasters past. Yet, from those very ashes, gold and green burst forth, symbolizing rebirth, growth, and triumph. Ladies and gentlemen, behold the parish reborn. Behold the Phoenix of St. David.
Charge up, I am a backpack and I'm ready. Running me backpack and I'm
The
ready.
Spice is surely on fire with Miss St. David, Jelena Mark.
And as she makes her way off stage, we recognize Mr. Kendon Mitchell, who gave extra financial support for the completion of her costume.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you enjoying this category so far? In her costume, we welcome delegate number 6, Miss Breakfast Bites St. Mark, Blossom George. She portrays Inferno Rebirth, the Flame of Freedom, a costume made by Calester Victory.
What is this? Who's coming down with such a large crowd? Who let the records out? Who let them out? Tell me, man, don't let the records out. Tell me, man, I want to know. Tell me, man, don't let the records out. Like that person take me for puppy show. And they say go, cut him, go, cut him. They say go, cut him, go, cut him. And they class going. They say go, cut him.
Behold the embodiment of divine fire, inspired by Shango, the mighty Yoruba god of fire, lightning and thunder, but with a spirit ignited by the heart of Grenada. It is the flame that smelts iron into steel, breathes brilliance into diamonds, and breathes life into transformation. Like the mythical phoenix rising from its ashes, this costume represents the soul breaking free from the bondage of mental slavery. This is more than a costume. It is carnival fire. It is St. Mark's pride. It is a revolution in motion.
They try to calm me down, they say I can't drink rum.
Let's hear it one more time for Miss St. Mark, Blossom George.
Everybody know I do a behavior. From July reach in Grenada, I get a flight but I don't get accommodation. So find me all over the nation, making a whole set of bad decision. The counter is a bad decision. I don't care, I'm making child decision. SPICEMAS could never be a bad decision. I do it what I do it. Go study what I do it. I let you run my movie.
Make some noise for Miss St. Mark, Blossom George. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage Miss De La Grenada Industries, Aliyah Knight, Miss St. John.
Time to make this city burn down. I will stop the blessing the fire till it won't burn.
This evening, Miss St. John portrays Sarah Fire Goddess of Flame and Flight.
1,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
This costume was conceptualized by Aliyah Knight herself and constructed by Marcus Utes. Sarah Fire is a mythical goddess born from the volcanic heart of Grenada's Mount St. Catherine. Miss St. John represents flame, flight, transformation, and fierce protection, embodying the untamed spirit of strength of the Grenadian people. Her presence is invoked when the island soul demands to be seen and defended. A fiery guardian who dances in ambers and shields to protect what is sacred. As she leaves the stage, we recognize those those who gave additional financial contributions towards her costume.
And Neela, I have to admit, these costumes were all eye-catching and represented the glory of Carnival and the theme itself, fire and spice. Ladies and gentlemen, who was your favorite? Time will tell. Remember, the judge's decision is final. Let's show our love and appreciation for all 7 delegates. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for them.
We want to show some appreciation to the builders of these costumes, those who conceptualized, those who created, and all those who made financial contributions towards the creation and completion of these 7 beautiful costumes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to invite to the stage Mr. Jelani Moses as he showcases his talent.
Wow, costumes. Oh my God.
The balance of color, the themes.
Yeah.
Some girls stuck to the fire and ice themes. Some went out of the boundary and created some magnificent pieces.
Yeah.
There are some that definitely stand out more than the others.
Absolutely.
A lot of thought went into the process, and it was definitely depicted on stage here tonight.
Yeah. And I know people probably wondering that they heard descriptions for some and not the others. I mean, when you're producing shows like this, there's a time to submit your descriptions to the organizers and all of that. And I'm sure maybe some people missed the deadline. Yeah?
And also the judges have the opportunity to look at the costumes backstage before they actually come on stage.
So not having the descriptions wouldn't do anything, but definitely would have enhanced, especially for those viewing and all of that. Yeah?
Especially for those viewing, because you're seeing something and you want to understand what does it represent.
Story? Yes.
You know, is my interpretation.
We were wondering as well.
Is it just the sun?
Yeah.
What does it represent?
Correct.
You know, so.
Well, Ms. Carrico, it was kind of clear with the wreath and you see all the different elements on it.
Most of them, I think, stuck to their thematic concept. You know, they say whatever they announce the costume as, that's what it was. But one of the most beautiful things for me was that the girls had a fantastic time, you know? And it was so great to just hear our music again. Our music is really bringing the Festival of Carnival to life, you know?
And dancing and singing along.
I'm telling you.
So I'm telling you. To the whole product.
But I have some favorite costumes.
Tell me your favorite.
My favorite was Miss St. John.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I have 2 favorites.
I have 2. I have
My
her
favorites
and Miss
were
St. George's.
St. John and St. George's.
Me too. I also love Miss St. Patrick.
Yeah, St.
that's
Patrick
my
was
third.
beautiful
That's
as
my
well.
third, yeah.
Definitely St. John.
And I like the fact that they've gone back to that wire bending. When you look at St. George's, you know some time and work was put into that costume.
Yeah.
It wasn't the plumes and the sequins.
No, she had a blast.
It was natural.
She had a blast.
And it depicted what it was supposed to depict.
It was.
And then when you saw those 2 dragons come alive on stage for Miss St. John, you know that girl means business tonight.
I mean, the visual impact, the thematic concept, the balance of color, the beauty of face and figure. I mean, she just had it. She was beautiful. It was awesome. It was really awesome, yeah. And they did well. They did really, really well, yeah.
I think they all gave a good account of themselves, you know?
Yes.
And like we said, the stadium has filled up a lot compared to when we just got here. And you know, and they're feeding off of the energy here in their different parishes, seeing the folks from the different parishes, you know, shouting, laughing. You know,
kind of feels like intercall, right?
Yes. Competition. You know, we thrive on competition, right?
I just felt robbed by not seeing them all on stage together, parading.
Right.
Because then you're able to really differentiate, you know, because it's nice to bring them back all on.
Yeah, when I judge, I like to see that.
You like to see that?
Yeah,
Okay,
especially with costumes, you really need, it just gives you one final glance of it all together, how they stack up against each other based on what they asked us to look for. So when I judge, I like to see them come back all together in costume especially.
Most definitely.
And evening wear. Yeah.
But then again, the weather is very, you know, so I'm guessing that's why.
It's raining heavily here, so yeah.
But all in all, we're off to a good start.
We off to a fantastic start.
Fantastic start.
And guess what? The part of the competition that often separates the girls is up next, and that is the talent segment.
But the part of the competition that just went, costume, carries the most points.
Yes, 60.
It's still 60 points. So costume is very, very, very important.
You know, a lot of folks should think that the interview section carries the most points. So it's important
It's the
that we
second.
differentiate.
Well, listen, it's the National Carnival Queen.
Yep.
Okay, it's all about
Carnival.
And listen,
Before anything else.
those costumes, some of them were reminiscent of Camboulet,
Yes.
the king and queen of the bands. And listen, I'm really hoping that I can see the girls lead off Carnival as it was done in the old days.
I know.
Where the girls were stacked in their costumes and they led off, they started the march.
So let me tell you all a little secret. When they announced me St. Patrick, right? And I see she coming on with a little bird. I'm like, oh, okay. When the wings open, I was like, wow. Yes. The
Listen.
theater, everything is happening. Yes. Just beautiful.
And they definitely had Carnival spirit.
Yes.
It's a big part of the judging criteria, and you saw the Carnival spirit. You see all the fancy dance, you even see the donkey thing.
I love it. You know what, Miss St. Andrew? I loved what she did with the medley of soca songs. She chose some of the trending ones and the humorous ones. Let me get him the grease. Okay,
Well,
sit
listen,
down.
when she came on, the crowd went up.
Imagine Donkey make the Queen show too.
Well, listen, Donkey
Donkey
making
large.
everything this year.
He out the stable. He's out
We
the
might
stable.
even see a guest appearance tomorrow.
Never
But we
know.
know Donkey.
know.
And the
Donkey's
next
in
one, your
everything.
friend Dasheen Bush.
Kevin.
Greasage.
Tread Lion. Tread
My
Lion.
song for the season.
That's your song for the
That is my
season.
song for the season. Well, one off, but this one is really.
Listen, imagine I'm Grenada and my Chinese co-workers, they're telling me, oh, Branda, you know the song for the season? I'm like, what is it? They're like, jab decisions. I'm like, what y'all know about jab decisions? It's so
Listen,
infectious. you know?
everybody's part of it. You know, we're seeing a lot of visitors in the crowd. We're seeing the JCBs who are back here to support
The returning nationals.
returning nationals.
nationals.
You don't like JCB?
But I think this year is
stand
definitely
corrected.
an awesome year for music, an awesome year for Carnival. You know, some years there's up, down, but this year is
Listen,
definitely a
man,
good one.
let me tell you something. Even if we don't have the funds, even if there might be poor planning, which is not, but the music, it just brings the magic to the festival. You can never tell because the music is just so, and we have to thank the artists for that, the producers, oh my God.
And I'm loving the fact that we're using most of our local songs on stage
We have
tonight.
to, we have
I
You
am
know what it is I'm
appreciating
loving?
that.
I'm loving the youngsters that
Yeah.
are coming in and taking control of soca.
Yes.
You know, the music, the
Turning it
elevation of the
upside
music.
down. Turn it upside down.
We're good.
Turn
We're
it
solid.
upside down.
We're definitely
Yeah.
looking good. But of course, the
Are we
action
getting ready to
continues.
judge talent, yes? So,